Hello everyone, welcome back to part 2 of this session. So I'm going to ask you to spend, just to review what I was saying there, I would like you to spend 5 minutes watching this clip, and the rest of the time then another 5 minutes up on nouns, adjectives, verbs and adverbs, and then write for about 10 to 15 minutes what representation is Biden creating for himself. And you may want to research how people responded to his speech. The YouTube link is at the top there for you to watch. Enjoy, it's a good speech. Okay, so on to something slightly different now. Lexicons. You all have a lexicon. A lexicon is your vocabulary, essentially. It is all the collection of all of your words. And our lexicons as a society aren't static, they continuously grow. Sometimes they grow just because you pick up new words. When you read a novel, you often learn a new word. I read a lot of non-fiction. When you read things, you learn new words. But let's look at how certain things come in en masse, rapidly, and then influence our lexicons. And this is a research task for you. I want you to find 5 words created, ideally in the last 10 years, so from 2010 onwards. Find 5 new words created due to digital technologies. Try not to go into social media for this because that's number 2, but thinking about new words created by new technologies. It won't take you that long to research and find these things. It's all about getting the wording right in a Google search. Then, number 2, find 5 words created due to social media. Now, you can think about your use of your Facebooks, TikToks, WhatsApps, any of those things. Then number 3, find 5 new words created due to the coronavirus pandemic. That's a very easy one for your search to bring up. Choose 5 that you think that either they're interesting or I know and use those ones. Okay, so 15 words you're going to find, 5 for each category. I think that'll take you about 15 minutes, really, maybe less, depending on how good your searches are. Okay, when you're ready, press play here. Now then, you've got your 15 words. We're going to think about how has each word been formed, new words and how they are created. So new words are formed in lots of different ways, and I'm going to just give you 4 of the different ways new words are formed here, because I don't want to overburden you at this stage. One way in which new words are formed is compounding. Now think about what a compound is in science, and see if you can predict what compounding is. A compound is 2 words put together to form a new word. Lap, top. Computer that sits on the top of your lap. The second one is blending. Blending. Think about what that means, the word to blend something, and then think what you think a blended word might be. Blending is when parts of existing words, are put together to form a new word. For example, smoke and fog, smog. When Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were dating, they were known as Brangelina. So use part of the 2 words. Number 3, acronyms. You probably know what an acronym is. Acronyms are when you take the initial letters of a phrase to make a new word. For example, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is better known as NATO. Value-added tax is better known as VAT. I don't know if you know this, but SCUBA is actually an acronym for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Now, these could be ones that spell out new words like NATO, SCUBA, or you might say every letter, like BBC, VAT. So it might sound like a word or it might just sound like the letters. You'll know lots of acronyms. The last one here is probably the one that's strangest to you, and this is what's called affixing. Now, words have prefixes and suffixes, and they go on the ends of words. We're going to take a simple adjective now, happy. Now, if I'm not happy, I put a prefix before it and it becomes unhappy. So the un bit turns it into a negative. Sometimes you use a suffix. So with happy, I could have changed it to happily, happily. And my suffix, the illy bit on the end. So affixing, you add a bit at the beginning of the word or a bit at the end of the word, which creates the meaning. And it's often an ed or an ing thing going on there. But it could be loads of different affixes, prefixes, suffixes. So an affix is the general term for a prefix, which goes at the beginning of a word, or a suffix, which goes at the end of the word. Now then, here's your challenge, and this is really tricky for you at this stage. Let's see how you get on. You've got 15 words, 5 from digital technologies, 5 from social media, 5 from the coronavirus pandemic. How have those words been created? Could you let next to each word that you've written down, could you write compounding if you think it's compounding, blending if it's blending, acronym if it's an acronym, affixing if it's affixing? It could be a mixture of more than one of those. If you're unsure, you can always email me and I'll help you out with it. Or we can just be unsure at this stage. That's fine. But have a go. I think this could take you about 15 minutes to do this. It's an interesting challenge for you. So pause the video, have a go, identify how has each of your words been created, and come back to me. Okay, well, one of our last things to do now. And I want you to be aware that it's not just that new words are created, existing words also change their meaning. So I'm going to give you 3 words to research for how the meaning has changed over time. First word is leech, the second word is gay, and the third word is sick. And to look for how the meaning has changed over time. If a Google search of how has the meaning of the word leech changed over time would probably get some interesting results. So track how it's changed. How has the meaning changed? And then you could start to think to really challenge yourself and think about those extension tasks at the bottom there. Has the meaning of the word become more specific, which we call narrowing? Or is it more broad, called broadening? Has the meaning become more positive? It's called amelioration. Or has it become more negative, which is called pejoration? So, as you research leech, gay, and sick, see if you can find out how the meaning has changed. Not just how it's changed, but what you would call that type of change. Narrowing, broadening, amelioration, pejoration. Don't worry if you can't, but have a go. And your final task there with this one is to choose one word from your lexicon, one word from your own vocabulary, and research how its meaning has changed. If your first one you choose doesn't have anything, choose another one. Okay, this should probably take about 15, 20 minutes, I think. Pause the video, get cracking, and then come back to me. Right, hello everyone. Thank you so much for your efforts with this, and we will be meeting you live, lots of you, next week. Let's just recap on what we've covered today. So we've looked at why take English language and you watch the promo video. We've looked at nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs, and recapped on those, and possibly given you some knowledge you didn't know. We then did some analysis work on Joe Biden's inaugural speech. And then we looked at new words and how they're created, compounding, blending, acronyms, and affixing. I hope you found this interesting. If you need to get in touch with me, there's my email address, Mr. Bell. And Mrs. Lily's back as well after half term. So she's back in school and she's able to be contacted too with any questions you may have about any of these things. And we will see you very soon. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for your efforts.